Everybody, how are you doing? It is Friday, and if you know what Friday is, we call it the strong end of the week because it allows us to do what we want to do, supposedly. And so welcome, everybody. Hello, moderators. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Hello, Big Al and Julie and also many others. And let me just invoke favor upon everybody, speak favor over us, nothing missing, nothing broken in our lives. Today, I have a very special guest. He's actually one of us in our community. I would probably, Nick, tell me if I would be wrong on this, more of a philosopher and an astute student of, and I love saying this now, the occult.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, my friend. You are among friends here, and I am looking forward to this hour. Ever since you and I began to exchange emails back and forth, and I'll just let everyone know a little bit. Nick actually has sent me some really good stuff. I mean, some type of material you probably wouldn't find in your Sunday school bulletin. And would you say that would be true? I think so. Anyway, and so as y'all know, we have been going through the study of the giants, Og and all, Nimrod and all the whole group. And one of the prominent themes that was ever present in that book was the giants all had dark ones. These dark ones gave them supernatural power. It obviously enhanced their psychic ability. They were able to become shapeshifters. They were able to manifest manipulating matter in a temporal causal world which we live in. And this brought Nick into the discussion. And when he sent me last week a link in which we saw yesterday, in a particular point of view of the dark ones as potentially the dark gods. And so with that being said, Nick, interesting study, is it not?
Yeah. And, I would caution anyone who's going to study the dark stuff, really know what the heck you're doing, because when you contact these things are, they really, really went into the physical universe, and you've really got to know how to rein them in. There are just as with anything, degrees of energy, degrees of power, degrees of intelligence, degrees of anything and everything. And a lot of the times when you call something's name, it has more to do with the tone and resonance and pitch of your voice than the actual name. This is one of the things that people get wrong. Your true name, it's supposed to be sung. It's actually
yes.
The tone, pitch, frequency, that's also a key to it. So just sitting there chanting something's name isn't necessarily, it's like looking for somebody's name in the phone book. There's
30 John Smiths.
Yeah. And how do you know you're going to pick the right one? And it's crazy. So you've really got to build a relationship with these entities. And I'm trying to think of how to all piece this together without going off into the weeds, because...
Okay, well, maybe we can start by, let's go back on something you and I both know about.
Sure.
Where I was understanding in the Solomonic magic, the 72, what we would call archdemons, and the ability, and there's archangels in there, by the way, that allows a human to be able to take command of them. Now, I don't know, Nick, what do you think on the thesis that there seems to be a lot of correlation?
Well, there's a book by Lon Milo Duquette. It has a fold out, and it shows the demons with their corresponding angels, with their corresponding astrological coordinates. And it's easy. The thing of it is there's a lot of talk and has been in occult groups that you don't want to sit there and threaten them. You don't want to sit there and you want to try to build up it's a business partnership. It's a relationship. That's what you have to do. Because the thing of it is if you give these things fear, they will use that fear. They will feed on that, but then they'll want more. If you use respect and actually know what respect is, most people don't. They think it's obedience. It's not obedience.
That's servitude.
Yeah. And so you have to build a relationship with these entities. You have to I mean, I wouldn't say worship them, but definitely treat them with respect that you're going to do a business deal with anybody. You wouldn't go into a business deal and start cursing out the guy you want to do business with. They'd walk out. They'd be like, to hell with it.
Nor would you be rude, nor would you would probably as well get to know who that person potentially is. I mean, it's like a marriage.
Yeah. You're definitely doing that. But there's a lot of these, like a couple of the books. The thing of it is back in 2012, I thought I hit a dead end spiritually. So, because I thought that I had gone as far as I could go. And I was dumb enough to give God another chance I was like, okay, you little rat bastard, redeem yourself. I'm going to become an actor and stand-up comedian here in LA. And through a series of unfortunate events, I got conned. I went to prison, and that actually reignited my spiritual journey, because I found so many books on the Zohar, the Kabbalah, all this other stuff. What I found out was this stuff is basically, it's a map of the matrix. Your birth chart is actually a schematic for the avatar that you're in this lifetime.
Interesting.
Most people don't realize this. So once I got back to studying, and I got this idea last night, so there's two trees. There's the tree of life, which is pictured right side up. And it is, from what I can tell, it's associated with the divine spark. But then you've got the negative tree, the Klefa, I'm not even sure how to pronounce it, the Klepath or whatever. It's associated with consciousness. Because see, the thing of it is consciousness is like the computer, but divine spark is like the electricity. And these things and one of the best books that I've found on this is this one. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but it's the guy is an academic. He's a PhD in Sweden, and he's got basically a positive, healthy cult. But it's basically, they focus on the red dragon, and it's actually a very positive force. So once I started getting into that, learning about that kind of a thing, it's like each Sephiroth, each little circle is a plane of existence, but so are those tunnels. And there's the associated entities. I mean, this matrix that we're in is actually extremely, there's a lot of stuff to do here, whether it's physically, intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, etc. There is so much to do here. But the problem is people are indoctrinated into this camp where the biggest problem is self-loathing and self-hatred, from what I've seen. Because every religion, it seems, wants you to hate yourself. And the thing of it is, the issue that I see, the biggest issue with what I see as far as Og and Nimrod is, one wants to eat humans and don't care if it's voluntary. The other one wants the humans to give permission to be eaten. Yeah. So it's like, exactly. It's like it's too it's two people arguing over, should we get salt on our fries or not?
Or no salt. Exactly. Yeah.
It's just like, it's like, wait, I don't want to be eaten. So, and here's one of the dirty little secrets. Whether you look at whether it's the Christian fundamentalist or the Islamic fundamentalist or the atheist, the dogmatic atheist, they both, what do? Oh, we can't use magic. It's bad. It's okay for God to do it. However, the key is you start to learn magic, you're going to have the power to, once you're outside the matrix, you're going to have a set your intention, like on your deathbed. If you want to be associated with a certain characteristic or a certain idea or a certain concept, like you might sit there on your deathbed and say, just keep repeating, I am love, I am love, I am love. The key is remembering who you are and setting your intention for who you want to be. Then when you get to the other side, you're not going to just be, some idiot looking around going, well, what the hell?
Hey, buddy, can you spare a dime?
Yeah, because the minute you stand there like a frozen rabbit, it's going to, whatever is on the other side is going to get you and it's going to try to eat you. So what you do is you set your intention. And once you have the intention, the energy, the frequency will automatically grab you and pull you along. If you've ever read the Tibetan Book of the Dead, they talk about these different doors, and whichever door you resonate with, you're going to go through. Or if you're conscious enough, if you have enough magical energy, wisdom, etc., you can actually choose which door you're going to go through. And this is part of the problem, because so many people, they let their karma, their attachments, their whatever, drag them through a door. Because the thing of it is the soul does not have it. Because the thing of it is the divine spark and consciousness are two separate things, and people don't realize this. This is one reason why all these occultists who do the blood sacrifices, and we know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They want as much divine spark as they can get, but they have to take out the consciousness. But the only way they can get the divine spark is you have to have consciousness in order to attract the divine spark. That's how you know it's there, because without the divine spark, you're not gonna. The consciousness, it's like the consciousness is like a computer. The divine spark is the electricity. The consciousness is pretty dead without the divine spark. And if you look at electromagnetic frequency, I have a feeling that does cut off consciousness, but because the thing of it is without consciousness, the human animal, it's still going to do what it's going to do. It wants to survive, but there's no real awareness there. It's on base level scarcity. It's going to die mindset. When you transcend that, you put into the consciousness thing, you really have to treat your body like it's a pet. You have to treat yourself like someone you love. This is the opposite of what religions teach us. This is the opposite of what the atheists teach us.
It is.
And
not to interrupt, but here's some I think that add to the recipe here is we so often see the tree of life, but what's not understood is that which is above is that which is below. The tree of life goes both ways.
Oh, yeah.
And many people fail to understand or grasp it too. I never knew true evil until I got into religion. And there's the paradoxy within that. I was getting into religion, in this case, Christianity, because of the whole allurement of love, that there was unconditional love, but you never find that unconditional love. And it's interesting that when I got into studying the occult, and here's the paradigm, is that I have found probably more good in the evil than I've seen evil in the good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A little bit about my own history, which I'm going to have to because the thing of it is like one thing that bothers me is I have all this occult knowledge. I have all this stuff. And one of the things that made me think I hit a dead end was, okay, I know all this stuff. How do I monetize it? How do I get it out there? Because it's like, It's
You
like
know
I
what
feel,
Lilith told me?
yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
It will naturally attract to the intention. That's why I don't ask for anything on my channel. I don't need to.
Okay.
You know, when most people, and I really thank the gentleman that sends me that, but when they see the symbols of Lilith, they see the symbols of the occult, what they don't understand, and what I have found, is that it will take care of you.
Yeah.
It will. It literally will. And again, it's what you said. You have to put that consciousness into it.
Yeah.
Maybe a little help for you.
Mm-hmm.
With,
Well,
because we need this knowledge. You have knowledge that needs to be shared.
well, what's interesting is, like, I mean, I grew up, my family's really dysfunctional, and I
Whose
grew up,
isn't?
well, there's degrees of it.
Exactly.
I grew up pretty codependent, and that's one of the things I'm working on, because codependency is a lack of self-love. The thing of it is with a narcissist, psychopath, sociopath, B cluster personality disorders. This is one reason why I'm working on becoming a drug and alcohol counselor, because when I was in prison, 90% of the people there, low-level offenders, such an intense degree of self-hatred. And it was like, I would counsel them. I would be like, you got to stop. You got to stop hating yourself. And it's like, because the thing of it is if you look at, like, I told one guy, I described to him, and this was in prison, he was a pretty tough guy, right? I described to him the Old Testament God. And I said, if this was a guy off the street who tried to involve himself in your business, or even if this was your father who tried to involve himself in your business, what would you do? He looked me dead in the eye and he said, I'd effing kill him. And I was like, well, I just described to you the Old Testament God. And that's something you're worshiping. That's something you're asking to love you when it's not capable of love. I mean, he didn't know what to say. It just really blew his mind. But there was a realization there. You know, we keep going back to a deity that treats us badly. It's no different than a woman saying, "Oh, he beats me, but he loves me. Oh, he broke my arm, but he loves me." It's like, no, he doesn't love you. It's gaslighting. And it's like, when I think a lot of it is, when I made it known that I was more ethical than God, and when I started making YouTube videos way back in 2004, 2005 YouTube, my first couple of videos were, because I was coming out of Christianity. I was coming out of the haze, right? I was taking religious studies classes, really trying to like understand this whole religion thing. I made a couple of videos. I talked about the etymology of the word Christ, right? How it's a title, like Buddha, right? And I was like, oh, anybody can be a God. Anybody can be Jesus Christ. What's messed up is I didn't have Christians coming after me. I had atheists coming after me. But it's because there are atheists who are actually genuinely good people, and they're aware. There's others who they're just using atheism as a weapon of authoritarianism and power, because power is the only virtue in their mind. So, but the thing of it is, if I say anybody can be Jesus Christ or Christ, that's saying anybody can be the best person they can be. And what happened was, I didn't realize how destructive these people who were coming after me were. I decided to clown them, to ridicule them by doing a parody. I was like, oh, yes, I'm Bravo de Christos. I am, right? I mean, a couple of these a-holes, they're still harassing me on YouTube to this day. They have lost my relationship.
What's your YouTube channel, Nick? I didn't even ask you for that. I can put that out there.
My new one is That's Reality, but I'm not even going to be doing... The thing of it is like, I'm so burned out on social media right now that I am so sorry. I've got to
No, it's all right.
Turn that off. It's like, yeah, I'm just really burned out on YouTube. It's like, I'll make a video. These people they're still coming after me. It's like, amazing. And the thing of it is,
what do they think the threat is?
That's just it. I don't know, because it's like they've been coming after me 15 years. And
Wow, that's determined. That's
the guy
determined.
who got me put in prison, who I thought was a friend, he turned up not to be. I found out later he was one of them. So
Interesting.
the thing of it is, I mean, I would love for it to be I would love for there to be a physical explanation of, oh, if I just get a nose job, it'll change, or oh, if I go to some seminar and learn how to pick up women, it'll change. You know, that might help things a tiny bit, but the more I look at Gnosticism, when I got out of prison, I started looking for like shows like Coast to Coast or something to just kind of listen to. And I found Truth Frequency Radio. Ended up becoming good friends with the couple who owns it. They practice ayahuasca rituals.
Mhm.
Now, the first time I did an ayahuasca ritual, it was the same thing. It was the same kind of experience that I had been experiencing from about the age of 8 till I was probably about, I want to say 14 or 15, where I would get these, I used to blame it on like sunstroke or something, right? Being out in the sun too long. I would literally be hit with this nausea, with this vomiting, with this like dissociative experience. I would see the colors. Yeah, Zara left. That's who I'm talking about. Yeah, they are good people. Yeah, it was the same kind of experience. And I don't mind doing ayahuasca, but I hate the vomiting aspect of it. I don't need to vomit. And part of me wonders if I'm getting enough, if I'm open enough that I can just channel or something, and I don't need the ayahuasca. But it's interesting because it's like the few ayahuasca journeys that I've had, I've not had it. I've definitely connected with my anima. If you're familiar with Jungian psychology, the anima and the animus, I've connected with the anima. I got to tell you, when you do something like ayahuasca, the hardest part is not the vomiting. It's not any of that. The hardest part is when you're coming down off it. You're connecting to, I don't know if it's the divine feminine. I don't know if it's a part of yourself that you're connecting to. You're connecting to this energy, this entity that has so much love for you. And I think it is basically your higher self or something.
I contend that that's Aphrodite's.
Yeah. And then
I really do.
And you come out of it back to this cold, hard, hate-filled world. And it's just like, holy fuck. Part of you kind of wants to just check out, because it's like that this place is a madhouse. And the thing of it is like, you know, it heals you, but at the same time, it's like it really is a call to action. It's not for, you know, it's not for recreation. It's really not for recreation.
Well, I contend, Nick, you have really enlightened. There's a lot I'd like to talk on that, because you've really brought out so much. Number one, I experienced all that I wanted to in my youth, as far as going out, out of body experiences. As I look back now, I was definitely the apprentice, and not understanding what was really going to be prey. And what you were talking about, particularly with the ayahuasca, I don't like throwing up. To me, that is no. It's probably why I never got hooked on drugs, because I don't like needles. I hate them and just run from them. But it's interesting. Let me ask you, on your experience, did you meet the entities out there? Or was you more of a, sometimes you go into what I call this
most of it was internal hallucinations. The only external hallucination I ever had was you're supposed to take 3 doses of the stuff, vomit, drink another dose, vomit, drink another. I couldn't do that. I got down a second one once, and was looking at the carpet, and the room was pitch black. I saw these really thick snakes just swirling around on the carpet, and it was like a portal. But I felt so much love. I'm like, it's like the energy is almost trying to reattach right now. It's like so much love and it's like that was home. It felt like home. The
Yeah.
first experience that I had, I saw this female reptilian looking thing in my mind, and she starts throwing just these words at me. They're neon colored, different letters in languages that I have never seen in my life. And she's trying to communicate something to me, and I'm just like, I don't know. I've been gone too long.
Did you feel an association with her?
Oh my God. Oh, dude. I mean, the funny thing is, like, I would allow her to possess my body.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. I mean, you're talking superhuman levels of intimacy, and it was amazing.
And you don't remember her name?
She didn't give me a name. I think it was, I want to say Sophia or Aya or something like that. But it could have been Lilith for all I know.
That's exactly what I was sitting here thinking. I've met that entity, and it's powerful. And what you've just described to me is all of her attributes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So the feeling of love, I mean, was it complete? I mean, because, there's different degrees of love.
Well, the thing of it is like these entities, they're so, again, these entities want, like, one of the books that I've really, one of the books that has a lot of truth to what these entities are is The Ouija Board by Aleister Crowley.
Yes. In fact, we have that on PDF.
These things, the act of, I mean, think of the sickest you've ever been physically. To these entities, that feels like paradise, because to even be in a body, even if it's
a sick body,
to them is the most erotic, beautiful. It's all they want. They want a body, and we're creating androids and stuff for them. We're creating robots. We've got, how many movies and books have you read where there's an entity possessing a doll, and it's like I found a story a few days ago in my Facebook feed. I guess some guy in the UK married his sex doll.
Yes.
And openly admitted to having arguments with it. I'm like, no, you've created a thought form and she's inhabiting in it. How many, in 25, 30 years, there's going to be forums on, the computer online where guys and, where men and women are going to be talking about, well, it's really weird because I had my Android turned off. I had her sitting on the couch in such and such position. When I got home from work, she was sitting on the other side of the couch in a completely different position. It was weird, huh? And
I think that day is already here. I contend that the internet, I've done enough videos on this, and it's my contention. The internet is the highest creation that man has done. It contains the psyche, the entire psyche of the human species. We've never done that before. This is truly the morphing black cube that I see.
Tower of Babylon.
Yep. Yes, sir. Thank you. And I contend the dark ones have inhabited the internet.
They need bodies. They want bodies, and
yes,
they just I know when I know on those Aya trips, when I allow her to, and I mean it's voluntary. So And that's one way you know a benevolent spirit from a non-benevolent. A non-benevolent will try to con you into something. I've thrown out Jesus, Jesus in my heart. I've thrown that motherfucker out repeatedly. Got no time for him. So yeah, but also what's interesting though is actually one of the things I had been meditating on during one of my Aya trips. If you look at the Christ consciousness or whatever, if you can fold the cross up into a box,
It's a cube,
black box. Yeah. So you got to kind of wonder if that's the AI or Yahweh or whatever the rat bastard's name is, basically openly mocking us, saying, "Oh yeah, I've got you trapped in this little, you're the all-powerful human species, but I've got you trapped in this little cage." And you got to really think about how most people are allowing it.
Well, Nick, I contend that if these deities existed, the dark ones that we read about with the time of the Rephaim and the Nephilim, let's talk about esoterically in the last 2,000 years. If they exist, and that means they're of an intelligence that supposedly is above ours, they need energy. They need mass energy. To me, the reason why I tell people we haven't heard anything from any God in over 2,000 years is that, folks, you just haven't been listening. They're here. They've morphed into something.
Well, one quick side note before I get on the theory associated with that. Empaths need to start learning this kind of thing. Vampire magic. Because here's the thing. As an empath, you're sucking all this energy. You don't have good shields up. You need to start using it actively. You need to start learning how to manage it, learning how to do it. You can give as well as receive. Most don't know how to do that. Most are just so open that anything and everything is flowing through them. And that's the biggest problem a lot of them have, because they'll feel one thing 1 minute to the next. You can't function like that. Now, as far as this new darkness or new evil or whatever you want to call it, I think a lot of these old entities like Yahweh have been they've either been killed off or they're too weak to function, and something else has taken their place and taken its name. There's a book by Peter Levenda called Hitler and the Occult, and he talks about how, in their universe, the black sun exists. It's just inverted. The Klipoth, it's inverted. Malkuth, which is where we are, Earth, is the connection point between that universe and this universe, just like the mind and the brain is a connection point between the physical and the spiritual.
I'm just writing down Aleister Crowley's. I want to make a note on that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the dark sun. A lot of people don't understand that. I mean, I contend, and I'll tell you who got me on, was Robert Seffer, and there was another book, Biocentrism, that really brought into the fact that I contend that this is what this realm is.
Yeah.
Is the realm of darkness.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see that? I mean, for myself, I don't have a problem anymore. I'll share something with you and with the audience, Nick. I haven't shared this before, but there was at one point where I was going to take that step into the next world. And there was about a 3-month battle that ensued. And I lived by myself in my house here. And it literally was daily warfare. I mean, physical, in the fact that there were points where I was being shoved by a force. And I learned something in that period of time. They don't bother me now. In fact, as my spirit guide tells me, there is literally a field around me. They're afraid of me.
Yeah.
Because I've literally killed a number of them in the spiritual realm. Literally, I didn't know I was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think humans understand we have that ability that reaches into the ether.
Here's the thing. I went through something similar last year. I had to get on Adderall because it was literally, I mean, literally, I would feel my body seizing. Literally, I would feel, I mean, I would just, it was hell. And I know a lot of it was stress,
Mm-hmm.
having to do with, well, that the little fucker who conned me, he had found out, and this is a quick side note, but it puts it into context. So the little fucker found what probation house I was in, kept coming over, bothering me, wouldn't leave, kept bothering me. I eventually wrote a ripoff report online about what he did. A few days later, he comes, tries to beat the shit out of me in public, comes up from behind. He gets stopped. People get it on video. 2 weeks later, I get served with a restraining order. I go to court. I show the judge, and this is in California. I show the judge the video, and the judge, though, he put in the caveat of not allowing me to speak about him on social media, not mentioning his name. I don't know if the judge was mentally retarded or what the problem was. Despite video evidence, all this manipulative little narc had to do, con artist had to do, was start talking about his family and all this other stuff. And the thing with the court system is all they care about convictions. If they can get a conviction, they'll do it. They don't care. So then I'm getting hit with bench warrants now because apparently I've broken the whatever, right? And I'm just like, I know it's connected to something in a past life or two because it was causing so much stress. It was leaving me open to so much negativity. Actually, Travis in the comments, no, Adderall, it literally, I don't want to be on it for the rest of my life, but that and Kratom have really helped. You cannot take ayahuasca or something like that if you're on Adderall because of the MAOIs, but some people have to be on it. And yeah, Adderall will open you up to certain other things, but there's ways to control them. But so I was under so much stress, and I mean, it was like daily. I was like, I mean, the only thing that's one of the things that saved me was getting a job, and it's a horrible job. I hate the job, but it's giving me the money so I can pay for the classes. But it's like, I mean, you get by yourself. These things, and you're not guarded. These things will attack you because here's the thing: they want you to confess and testify against yourself. They want a confession. They see an apology as confession of a crime. They see apology as justification for abuse. Because for this darkness, let's call it, B cluster personality disorder, narcissism, psychopathy, the way they see it is it's the mentality that existed before an eye for an eye. An eye for an eye was, okay, you hurt me, I hurt you back in the same way. Before that, it was, if I have the power to do anything and everything to you, I can and will. Because most people confuse power with authority. Authority is ownership. I had to sit there and literally, I would look in the mirror during one of these seizures at this point, one of these just my brain burning, and I would have to look in the mirror and I would sit there and I would say, I am my own, I belong to myself, I am the sovereign, Lord. I mean, I would really get into it, and I would just be staring at myself in the eye in the mirror. And it was because I couldn't, if this thing that had been attacking me would have been physical, I mean, I would have, I mean, you think what the Nephilim and the giants did to each other, this thing, I mean, yeah, it's like,
We've got to build technology to where we can actually expose these deities. Let me talk to you on a point. So in these moments, and many of us empaths know, I mean, you get at a certain age and live long enough, you experience some of this. Many people are defeated by it, and sadly, so few actually overcome it. But You said something. They're looking for a confession. And I hear people talk, and, listen, I was at it myself. It's taken me decades to get self-talk into this. But the point is, when I proclaimed to the council, there is a council up there, there's a hierarchy, that there is no one qualified to judge me. Nothing has lived my life but me. And I said, I can call myself innocent.
Yep.
I am imperfect, and within that imperfectness, I am perfect, and no one is worthy to even say a word against me. You know what I heard?
Exactly.
Nothing.
Oh, yeah.
The silence. It came over me like a honey that it would just begin to cover you. And I'm telling you, Nick, if there's anything that people are getting out of this today, listen to this man, what he's talking about. Learn to self-love.
Yep.
I mean, they can't torment you if you can look in the mirror and say, I'm the most sexiest thing that's been out there. Body, I thank you. You and I are in partnership. I'm more intimate with you than I am with anything.
Yep. And that's what you got to say to yourself every day if you're suffering. Because the thing of it is depression is self-loathing. It's self-hatred. And the thing of it is if you start getting angry at the obstacles, angry at the people, angry at the environment, the depression goes away. Because a lot of this, especially people suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, complex post-traumatic stress disorder that they got in childhood, because that's what'll create you'll either become a codependent or, a narcissist, psychopath, etc. And the thing of it is, it's like either one is a lack of self-love. Either one is a lack of self-love.
I got to say this. There has been some people who have been writing me, and you have been tormented by demonic spirits and what have you. I'm telling you, you just got your solution. No darkness, no energy can come against when a person says, I love me for what I am.
Yeah.
You take the power away. There's your solution, my dear. I'm talking to you.
And so that's what. And the thing of it is, though, is when you start to love yourself, it's going to trigger other people. Because, you start to see yourself as valuable. You're going to trigger other people, and you're going to trigger whatever spirits are in them. Because they'll
speak about you. They'll talk to you behind your back. They'll put things out to other people and say things about you.
You want to hear something really fucked up? When I was in my 20s, when I was still under the God spell, right? I would go to this church. I'm living in the same town now that I was when I was in my 20s. I would go to this church. It was a charismatic church. I was a couple of years older than some of the other people, but it was a youth group, right? All I wanted was friends. And I mean, these people, and again, when you're codependent and because when you're a kid, if people hate you, whether it's at your home or school, it's not like you can leave. You're not taught to leave. You're not taught to walk away. You're just taught to sit there and fucking take it. And so these people hated my fucking guts. I kept, what can I do to become closer to God? What can I do to become, more loving, more self-sacrificing, blah, 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 blah. None of them were ever grateful. None of them were ever helpful. None of them were ever forgiving of me, nothing. But it was like, when I finally did leave, and I come back, 20 years later, and I walk past that building, I can see this huge shroud of darkness. And the thing of it is with charismatics especially, there was an experience I had when I was in my 20s, and I should have realized my own power, and I didn't. The preacher was up on stage. They are literally taunting Satan, taunting the devil, right? They want him to come so they can, have Jesus kick its ass.
Right.
And I'm just like thinking, you fucking idiots. I'm seeing this like over this congregation. I'm seeing this cloud form over these people. I literally went into the hallway and I was literally like, Satan, whatever you are that they're calling, Please don't. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're ignorant. They're idiots. They're so fucking clueless. I was begging it. Hey, don't show up. Don't come. I know you can kick their ass. I know you can kick God's ass. It's not worth your time. Not worth your time. When I went back in the room, the energy had completely changed. They were still doing their little, bullshit, but the energy had completely changed. There was, they were self-deluded, and they were creating an egregore, which brings me back to something I want to talk about: the black sun. This unnatural darkness. When you read that book, Hitler and the Occult, Hitler was trying to connect, using the black sun to connect to an egregore. An egregore is similar to a thought form, but it's a collective thing. So you get an egregore, the collective energy, consciousness, subconscious energy of a corporation, of a city, of an entire nation. What if the fucking unnatural darkness that we're dealing with, that chased all that little, all those little fucking punk ass bitches who we call gods, maybe they're all hiding on the outskirts because this unnatural darkness is the egregore of, because again, to become a Christ, right? You have to make the darkness conscious. What if what we're facing is ourselves? What if we're facing something that's the collective of over 7 billion humans struggling in the chaos and the confusion to become conscious, to wake up? What if we're dealing with that, all this darkness? Because that's why they're playing with the EMF fields, because electromagnetic frequency, because the lower the frequency, you push out, it's either changing the consciousness polarity or it is pushing out the consciousness, because the body does not need to be conscious in order to function.
No, the body's a golem.
Yeah, it's a golem, and it's going to be focused on survival at any cost. So yep. You push away the consciousness, it's still going to do its thing. But you get the divine spark in there, you get the consciousness in there. You've got something greater than even the gods, and they fucking know it. And they're going to fucking destroy each and every one of you if they can. But the thing of it is, 7.5 billion of us, most of us don't even know what we're doing. There's just that anger, that hate, that frustration because when you're in an abusive situation, even as a child, something is wrong. Something is broken. Something is fucked up. So you have the resentment. All that darkness starts to boil and roil over. And it's just like, I mean,
I love how we're discussing this.
Sorry to interrupt. They're waiting for us to either self-annihilate, suicide, destroy ourselves, etc., or they're trying to find places to hide so we don't kick their motherfucking asses. And we will kick their motherfucking asses, especially when the dark ones inhabit the AI and the bright ones inhabit whatever systems they're going to inhabit. You get light and dark, then that's why I have.
I'm glad you brought that up, because wherever we see the dark ones, there is mention of the bright ones. Mm-hmm. And the bright ones were interacting with the giants, which mm-hmm. I found very odd. And actually, until I meditate a lot, and it was spoken to me, we've been taught to see things one way.
Yep.
We've been taught, in particularly the Western culture, because of the influence of Eastern occultism, Eastern religion, Eastern theology, that the body, the human, is bad to begin with. It's low to begin with. It has to go through lifetimes of lifetimes to reach ascension. And what I am contending is that what we see as good is actually the darkness. And what we have been taught to reject is when we hear the word Lucifer, when we hear the word of occult, Baphomet, when we begin to hear the Gilmores, etc., that is evil. And it's interesting because when you get into that, you find out that the entities are real. They're alive. But when you're over here into this religion, the God spell, you only see one thing. You see this imaginary picture of a God that no one can define. No one can give attributes other than what they're describing is themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Yahweh is.
Yep.
Yourself in a negative light.
Yep.
You got me going on this because, folks, the whole spell is that it's been reversed on us.
Yep.
And Nick, what I love about you is, number one, you are authentic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't tell you how rare that is.
Thank you.
You are the real deal. You don't hide behind, political correctness. You're bringing it out because you've lived it.
Well, I'm trying to do that more and more, but it's interesting because it's like you get back into the area where you grew up, and it's like that energy. That this is one of the things that your consciousness, your soul, whatever you want to call it, has a specific energetic signature. This is how these entities, these whatever, keep track of you lifetime after lifetime. So the minute the energy, and there's these energies that are bound to earth and they're just swirling around like an ocean, like your currents or whatever, the minute they see you, they spot you, they remember you, they recognize you, they say, okay, well, we're going to start back where we left off. Never mind the fact that it's 3, 4, 20 lifetimes later. They don't care. They want you to repeat the pattern. They want, the energy keeps wanting to, be on playback no matter how many times. And we've all done it. We've all done it. Why does this keep happening? Why does this keep happening? It's because there's an energy there trying to just keep, all it wants to do is repeat. And it's going to repeat unless you break the cycle, and which is, most people don't even recognize they're in a cycle. And the thing of it is once you claim your sovereignty, you start to claim your power. And what do all religions do? Give away your power.
Exactly.
The minute you do it. My parents, they did not want me to work. They did not want me to drive. They didn't want me to do anything. It was safer to not do anything. It was safer to just sit and do as I was told. It was killing me inside every day. But it was just like, no matter what I did, they didn't want me to have power. And it's not because, see, the thing of it is, again, they tell you, oh, you have evil intentions. So if you have power, you're going to do something evil or wrong. And it's like, no, you don't know my heart. You don't know my mind. That's your projections. And it's like, well, if you're worried that I'm going to do something to you, is that because you're doing something to me? Like,
well, as I would say, God forbid.
Yeah, it's like, you got to look at, it's like, again, the rat bastard known as Yahweh, the rat bastard known as Allah, Shiva, Ganesha. I can go down the line. Every belligerent, blind, blasphemous one of them is so busy blaspheming humankind and humanity. Why? Are we a food source? Well, okay, but I don't yell at my cheeseburger and tell it what a piece of shit it is before I eat it. Because I know it's, I already know I have power over it.
I typically always speak favor of it, but I love how you just brought that. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like if you have power over something, you don't need to demean it and belittle it. It's like, you already know you have power. I don't pick up a book and say, oh yeah, I'll see how much power I have to open you. I don't, that would be delusional. And yet that's what these gods do. That's what these religions do.
Well, I contend that we do something the gods never have done. We have a body.
Yeah.
Oh no, they can't even do that. So that makes me by default, a superior being above God, because within myself, I am God.
Yeah.
Now that's what Lucifer teaches.
Yep.
Literally, if you want it, not Luciferian, not Satanism, what if you really look at the being, in which, I really hope the being does exist. It's a light bearer, and what it does, it brings light to bear upon the one who will receive it.
Yeah. Well, and the thing of it is like with a lot of these like with the Kabbalah, with birth charts and that kind of thing, the chakra system. All of that stuff is stuff that's created for this matrix, for this game system. The thing of it is if you learn, and this is what people like, these magicians like Bill Gates and all these other people have done who have billions of dollars. It's like they know what the real magic is. I mean, is this, because it's like I can pick up some of these magic books and I can say, well, is this shit going to work? I don't know. But it's like these people who are billionaires. I mean, Bill Gates said he's a minor wizard. It's like they know it works. They're trying to tell us not to use it. But
Zuckerberg is really deep into the occult. Folks, you just listen, the power that we're seeing of the social media, it's not the technology, folks. It's the spirit behind it. It's the energy. And I love the fact that you brought this up. The Federal Reserve, by the way, folks, actually employs sorcerers, sorceresses. This is the world that the people. Woo, Nick, you're getting me going now, because this is the thing I do with my channel. I left the whole nonsense of, what was out in space. And then I'm going, whoa, wait a minute. We got big problems right here in River City, folks.
Yeah.
And, we cannot, the vast majority of people cannot accept that.
Yeah. Well, and my concern is with the authoritarianism, because I've studied it so much and I've studied history so much that I honestly, because like if you look back at World War II, it was two groups of authoritarians trying to, vie for power. Now we have, the radical feminists, we have the radical Islamists, we have the globalists, they're all authoritarian groups and who are anti-individual, who see people as tools.
That's technology.
Yeah. And it's like, the problem is, it's like, I am really concerned that in my lifetime, you probably won't see it, but I'm pretty sure I will if it happens. People being rounded up and put into camps. I mean, it's already happening in China. I mean, there's social media, the who you are online, and AI is going to see that, and whatever narrative other people have put out. I mean, you look at the stuff that my haters have of me online, you'd think that I couldn't put a coherent string of words together. But,
I think you did a pretty good job today.
I know, but it's like, well, and I woke up like only a couple hours ago. But my point being is, though, it's going to be this version of you, and then and this also goes into the your birth certificate as collateral, right? So it's like
did a video on that.
Yeah. The straw man, right? This person that you are according to the state, and then there's going to be this, okay, there's this person that you are according to what the AI, the internet thinks you are, and they're going to be confused because they're going to be like, wait, this person isn't this thing that the AI is telling us. Oh, well, that doesn't matter. We're still supposed to put a gun to his head and blow his brains out. It's like they're gonna fucking do that, and people don't realize it. It's like
I'll actually leave my body voluntarily at that point.
Yeah, well, people are so parentified. They think they think their government loves them. They think the corporation loves them. They think it's like the love that they never got from mommy and daddy. They're looking to the government to get that. It's like, you got to fucking learn how to love yourself. And I've often wondered if I should just, one of the religions that I did study, I know people here in the Midwest would not accept Gnosticism. They would probably accept Science of Mind, which Ernest Holmes wrote. That I have that book. It's a pretty big one. It's a
got a great library, by the way. Everyone's commenting on that.
Yeah. I want to buy more books and spend time reading them and less time on social media. But it's like, because, when you're sitting there reading,
share the knowledge, Nick. I'll give you.
Relaxing, it's calming, it's reflective. When you're sitting there watching a video, there's still that, anxiety, frantic energy. So anyway, the Science of Mind stuff basically calls people, you are a, child of God. You are the sons and daughters of God. Whereas if you read the Bible or Quran or any of that nonsense, it's always you're slaves of God. Well,
Yeah.
and it's like, if you can get people to realize and recognize their own divine light and power, then they can make the movement. Because with me, it was a progression. The first book that I ever read on this kind of stuff was Prometheus Rising by Robert Wilson. And he talks about the 8 circuits of, I guess, the mind. And most people are stuck in the first 3. They are so, survival oriented, and they keep us in survival mode. And it's just this confusing madness.
Yeah.
And the elites, they don't teach their children the things the poor people teach their children. It's like, I should have been learning rhetoric, mineralogy, mining, banking, all that, finance, all that stuff. I should have started learning that and stuff in the 6th grade. No, what was I learning? I was learning, yes, the big yellow thing in the sky is the sun. And I'm looking at the teacher like, are you a fucking retard? Because it's like, I was so above these people that because I grew up in a small town of like 3,000. I mean, it's like they were fucking animals. And it was like, it was like a cat living in a dog pound. It's like, I'm nothing like these people. And it's like, it's weird because I was so disheartened in 2012. And then as far as spiritually, and then it's like, I kind of get back into the game, do the ayahuasca, do that kind of thing. I find you and Jeff Daughtry's channels, and I'm like, okay, these two are like in their 60s. They're just finding out about this stuff now that I was reading about when I was in my 30s. Okay, well, that means society is catching up. So it's like, but again, the question is, and I'm really glad your channel's here, because I couldn't do what you're doing. I mean, it's just like, I would not be able to.
We all have a gifting.
I don't have a personality for it. I really don't. I'm pretty harsh with my tones.
It's all right.
But yeah, it's like that. The question is, though, are we gonna have enough awareness of what we need to do to hold, to either elevate the darkness and make it conscious, or hold back what's going to try to destroy humanity yet again? Because, the Russians, they got Solzhenitsyn, who wrote all, Gulag Archipelago. They learned their lesson about authoritarianism. We got Ayn Rand. They destroyed her, and they're still headed down the track of authoritarianism. And the thing of it is the people in power, the people at the top, they're going to be writing the laws. They're not going to be obeying the laws. I mean, it's like you these days, you call a low-level bureaucrat a public servant, they'll give you a look like they want to fucking wring your neck. And then it's this worship of, it's this, especially in the Midwest, it's this bizarre reverence for authority. So I can tell we've gone over, so I'll probably give you the last words.
Well, that's all right. Listen, folks, I know it's been, you got to love Nick. I mean, he doesn't sugarcoat it. I got one of my shirts in there that says, I don't sugarcoat shit. I'm not Willy Wonka. I think that this is a conversation, obviously, for adults, and obviously for a maturity level of people. So listen, we don't hide this truth here. And truth is much more elusive than what many of us think. And Nick, I just admire you. I'm going to have you back on. I would encourage you to share the knowledge that you have acquired, and because there is a great need for it.
Yep.
And I just speak favor over your life and peace. And you've got the power. Start wielding it. Folks, thank you. I'll see you on Sunday over on Jeffrey Doherty's channel on the Not Your Normal Sunday Show. Hello, Nick. How are you doing? And people love you, brother. Nick, they're just giving you the thumbs up. I think that, listen, you have to respect when a person speaks from the heart. And Nick, you have, and I appreciate that. Would you like to say something as we go out?
Love yourself. You alone are the Lord your God. You are the sovereign self. You are the savior you have been waiting for, and you are more powerful than you can ever imagine. And you will not only conquer the gods, you will redeem those few who are worthy.
Yeah. Well said. Marie, I saw your comment.
It's like, it's like my fucking heart's like,
I love it. This is good, folks.
such a good
All right.
people.
Much love to everyone. See you on Monday. We'll finish up with our series with King Og, and we'll move on. We got some great material. And Nick, I want you back on, and maybe we get into some more discussions on some more specifics. So, all right, everyone. Thank you. We will talk to you soon. Be good to yourselves. All righty. We'll talk soon. All right. Bye-bye.